Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for February 27, 2020 to order at 7:32 p.m. On roll call, Council members Fasolo.
Here.
Golobeck. Here. Ingui. Here. Pellegrin. Here. Wetchler. Here. Council President Balistrary.
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Now we can all stand. Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting, which we entrust to your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and implant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in deliberation so that our decisions will always please you and bring you peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey require at the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now, therefore, be advised that that meeting requirement for this meeting have been met by publishing a special meeting notice in the record in Herald News and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk as well as in a public place within the public building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 8th, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is being videotaped and will be on Cablevision Channel 77 on Monday at 3 p.m. and Thursday at 11 a.m. The video will also be available on the Borough's website at www.elmwoodparknj.us. Mrs. Delaney.
Under the approval of minutes this evening, we have the January 2nd, 2020 reorganization meeting, January 6th, 2020 special executive session meeting, January 9th, 2020 special meeting, work session, and executive session meetings, January 16th regular meeting, and February 6th work session and executive session meeting minutes.
Motion on the minutes, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Council members Fasolo.
Yes.
Golobeck.
Yes, with the exception of January 6th special executive and February 6th executive. I recuse on those. Yes to the rest.
Ingui. Yes. Pellegrin.
Yes on all of them except January 6th special executive meeting. Some statements were made by me that were not accurate and they need to be revised.
Wetchler.
Yes.
Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. At this time, I will turn over the meeting to Mayor Coletti for a special presentation to Elmwood Park High School wrestlers and their coaches.
Mr. Fasolo.
I want to welcome and congratulate the 2020 NJIC Division II champions. You have made your parents, coaches, teachers, and your community proud. For the first time in 11 years, you have brought the championship back to where it belongs, here in Elmwood Park. I've had the honor of getting to know most of you by being your teacher. I know firsthand the passion you have for wrestling and the respect you show to your coaches. You may not realize this now, but your accomplishments in sports throughout your high school years will stay with you for the rest of your lives because sports teaches you character, it teaches you to play by the rules, it teaches you to know the feeling of winning and losing and the strength it takes to keep on moving forward. So in essence, it teaches you about life. Congratulations to the coaches for being their mentors along this journey. I know you all spend countless hours after your work schedule to motivate the students. Thank you on behalf of our community. And I'd also like to extend a special thank you to the parents. Your involvement and support to our students is vital to the growth of our community and your children. We can't thank you enough. Congratulations.
Okay, you can all leave now. Okay, you guys all ready? Yeah? Okay, I mean, look at you. I love doing this, you know, getting with the people and feeling the people. Very exciting moment, I'm sure, right? Okay, you're all going to be honored here this evening. And how you feel about that? Is that how you won, with that kind of, that kind of energy? Come on, let me hear it. I bet you these people over here can be louder than you. One last time. Okay.
All right, when I call you up, you could come up to get your certificate. Ines Abdicator. Yeah, just stay up there. Yeah. Eddie Alfieri.
Eddie, are you Claire's grandson? No? I tried, Eddie.
Aiden Arias. Not here? Not here, Mayor.
Is the coach here, will he accept him? Will accept this? Come on, they want to see it.
Kaya A. Gina Avellino. Kevin Baker. Joey Briggs. Good job, man. Congratulations. Ryan Briggs. Congratulations. Stalin Guzman Caban. Congratulations. Abe Cario. Congratulations. Tyler Cario. Congratulations. Darren Caro. Sid Journey Knight. Congratulations. Jaden Logothetis. Congratulations. Michael Lombardo. Congratulations. Devin Longacre.
I know his dad when he was this high.
Jason Longacre.
Same thing for you. I know your dad was.
Zach Martinez. Congratulations. Kevin Mondati. Michael Nieves. For the next one, Councilwoman Ingwe would like to present it.
Thank you very much, Councilman Fasolo. At this time, can I please have Vishay Polite come to the dais?
Michael P. I know as a teacher not to try if you are going to mess it up bad. Jaden Rogala. Albert Sage. Sage. Dominic Za. Maria Tasiva. Joseph Valenciano. Natalie Vega. Vanya Z. Coach Mulligan. And Coach Murray. If the council could come down for a photo.
In between them, somewhere. Are we good, audience? Okay, comments from members of the council? Doris, would you like to make some We're going to skip him because he's talked a lot tonight already.
I'd like to congratulate all the wrestlers, students, how great you are in Elmwood Park. You really showed our town what Elmwood Park is all about. And the coaches, Mr. Mulligan, I've known you since you were little. I knew your mom and dad very well. And the other coach, I don't know who you are, but I really want, with my deepest heart, thank you both for everything you do for them, because let me tell you, we're all proud of them up here. Congratulations, guys.
Sandy?
Yes, I'd like to congratulate all the wrestlers, coaches, and the parents, because without the parents, they wouldn't be here tonight. And thank you for your support. We're so proud of you, and we know we'll see you here again, and congratulations to everyone.
Mrs. Pellegrini?
Yes. Congratulations to all the wrestlers on all your accomplishments. Hard work pays off. We want to thank your parents, the coaches, and you brought a lot of pride to Elmwood Park, and we're proud of each and every one of you. So continue your hard work, and I know we'll see you here again. Congratulations.
Mrs. Ingwe?
I also would like to congratulate you all on your achievements. Coach Mulligan, you're the best. We all know that. You guys did a fantastic job. I love to see all the women in the audience, wrestlers, doing us proud. Congratulations, everyone.
Mr. Golombek?
To the wrestlers, congratulations. To the coaches, thank you. Keep it up. Go Crusaders. Thank you.
We're asking everybody to speak tonight. Mr. Graffia?
All right, having the opportunity, I don't get the opportunity to speak too often, but when I do, I like to take the time to do it, in a sense. Wrestling and sports are the greatest thing to make up an individual's character. And let me tell you, you cannot beat character and fortitude, and that's what makes champions, okay? And being a prior wrestler in high school myself, soccer player in college, let me tell you, you're right at the heart. So I know how it is and what it is. So congratulations again, and keep up the good work, and come back here next year.
Mr. Foligno?
Congratulations, wrestlers, coaches. I'm a former Crusader wrestler myself. I am Coach Mulligan's coach, so glad to see him excelling as a coach. Glad to see the girls circuit taking off, especially in Elmwood Park. That's awesome for the sport. Rich wrestling tradition in this town for many, many years, and I'm glad to see it back on the map. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, athletes.
So I guess I'm not really thinking right this evening, because I asked Mr. Graffia to speak and he stole my speech. But anyhow, I'll piggyback off of it. I also do understand sports, all sports, football, baseball, love them all. Baseball, I got to be honest, and football are my favorites. But as far, and I often said that sports is a boot camp for children and young adults in life. But when it comes to wrestling, it's not a team effort. It's an individual effort. At the end of the match, there's nobody to blame yourself for the loss, but yourself for the loss, or take all the credit for the win. And there's a lot of individuality that comes from that, as Mr. Graffia have said. So with that said, I think your sport is probably one of the hardest, and I think it builds the most character out of all the sports. And congratulations to all of you. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. Mr. Lenny?
Mayor, I'd like to call the meeting back to order at 7:57 PM to reestablish quorum. Council members Fasolo.
Here.
Golombek.
Here.
Ingwe. Here. Pellegrin.
Here.
Wetchler. Here. Council President Balistrary.
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
Continuing on with the agenda, we will proceed with ordinances being introduced on first reading. Introduce ordinance number 20-04 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled Bond Ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new additional or replacement equipment and machinery and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in by and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $2,585,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, March 19, 2020 at 7:30 PM, or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
First by Wetchler, second by Pellegrin. Council members Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Ingui.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Wetchler. Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-80-20, introduced ordinance number 20-05 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled Bond Ordinance to authorize the rehabilitation or replacement of water mains and lines at various locations in by and for the water utility of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $240,000 to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, March 19, 2020, at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
May I have a motion, please? Any discussion? Call the roll.
First by Wetchler, second by Ingui. Council members Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Ingui.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Wetchler. Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-81-20, introduced ordinance number 20-06 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 34, Article 7, Bulk Requirements, Section 34-7.1 of the Code of the Borough, entitled Table of Use Regulations, to ban short-term rental of dwellings for periods of 28 days in any and all zoning districts. Be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, March 19, 2020, at 7:30 p.m., or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
First by Wetchler, second by Pellegrin. Council members Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Ingui.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Wetchler. Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-82-20, introduced ordinance number 20-07 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park titled Traffic, more specifically Section 7-8.3 titled Temporary No Parking for Snow Plowing and Removal, be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, March 19, 2020, at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
First by Wetchler, second by Fasolo. Council members Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Ingui.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Wetchler. Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-83-20, introduced ordinance number 20-08 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 6 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Alcoholic Beverages Control, more specifically Section 6-3.4, License Fees for the increase in fee for liquor licenses. Be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, March 19, 2020, at 7:30 p.m., or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Council members Fasolo.
No.
Golubek.
Yes.
Ingui.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Wetchler. Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. To begin our budget introduction, Resolution R-84-20, ordinance number 20-09 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, April 2nd, 2020 at 6:30 PM or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Council members Fasolo?
Yes.
Golubek?
Yes.
Ingui?
Yes.
Pellegrin?
Yes.
Wetchler?
Yes.
Council President Ballastreary?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Rigatano? Mayor, the CFO's here. Yes. Going to have our CFO explain and introduce this budget.
Good evening, everyone. So the procedure in New Jersey is to do an introduction which was unanimously accepted. So very brief, because we will have a hearing where everyone can have their say for or against this budget, including council and the mayor, will be within the 28-day period or so in April. Right now, we are coming in at $72. I told you 77, Mayor, this morning, it's 72. So at $72, it's a very good budget. The major increases are some of our salaries. We had some contractual obligations that were met, specifically DPW. Pensions went up $102,000. Insurances went up $153,000. Just with those two line items alone, that gets you to this $72. We used more surplus because we also have many more individuals retiring, including 2 in the tax office and multiple officers retiring by end year. So some of the people or some of the questions that have been asked is, well, if you had 0 last year, now it's 72. The reason is very simple. We didn't know where we were last year. We had the hack and we had the devastating fire at Markel. That all played a role in last year's taxes as well as the budget. I'm happy to say that with Markel up and running, we're very stable in the tax base, and there should be no issues this year. Again, look forward to seeing all of you in about 30 days or so for the budget hearing.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
I believe we need a motion on this.
Mayor, moving on to Resolution R-85-20, introduction of the 2019 municipal budget. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenues and appropriations shall constitute the municipal budget for the year 2020, and be it further resolved that said budget be published in the Record and Herald News in the issue of March 5th, 2020, and be it further resolved that the governing body of the Borough of Elmwood Park does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2020.
Motion, please.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, if I may. I was not able to be at the meeting where the budget was discussed, so I'm voting yes to move it forward, but I reserve judgment when I have a chance to meet with the CFO and all that stuff. So I'm voting to move it forward.
Thank you. I have a few comments on the budget. I'd like to start off by saying I'm very unhappy with this year's municipal tax increase of $72. Considering last year we had a 0 increase, I feel had we increased $35 last year, we would only be increasing $35 this year, which would render less of a sticker shock to our residents. Additionally, it was reported that spending was up 1% last year. True, we do get a spike from year to year. However, it also raises a red flag to curtail our spending. Going forward, I'm requesting from our CFO a quarterly report that will indicate whether we are on track, plus or minus, with our budget and projected budget for next year, allowing us to adjust our spending spontaneously to stay in line with our projected budget. Also, I am requesting a report where this 1% rise in spending occurred. Now, this isn't a witch hunt. It's just that for the sake of information, we need to know where the increase was. Once we define it, then we can appropriately deal with it. Call the roll, please.
First by Wetchler, second by Ingui. Council members Fasolo?
Yes.
Golubek?
Yes.
Ingui?
Yes.
Pellegrin?
Yes.
Wetchler?
Yes.
Council President Ballastreary?
Yes.
Motion carries. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was approved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen on February 27, 2020. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at the municipal building again on April 2nd, 2020 at 6:30 p.m., at which time and place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2020 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons. Moving on to our consent agenda. R-86-20, approval of payroll. R-87-20, approval of bills list. R-88-20, established 2020 temporary capital budget. R-89-20, authorize appropriation transfers. R-90-20, authorize emergency repair services, pumping services, Inc. R-91-20, award proposal for design services, Alimo Group, improvements to Donor Avenue and Echo Place. R-92-20, award proposal for design services, Alimo Group, improvements to Rosemont Park. R-93-20, authorized current estimate number 1, 2018 CDBG, improvements to various streets for Cleanup, Inc. R-94-20, authorized current estimate number 5 and final and change order number 1, 2018 road program for Cleanup, Inc. R-95-20, appoint substitute ASP counselor Jennifer Hebda, Recreation Department. R-96-20, authorize the execution of service agreement Salvatore A. Ingraffia. R-97-20, appoint special counsel representation for property tax appeals. R-98-20, resolution to redeem third-party tax lien. R-99-20, resolution to redeem third-party tax lien. R-100-20, resolution to redeem third-party tax lien. R-101-20, resolution to refund overpayments due to New Jersey tax court judgments. R-102-20, resolution to refund overpayments due to New Jersey tax court judgments. R-103-20, authorized distribution of funds, Recreation Department. R-104-20, authorized prepayment, Fire Department. R-105-20, appoint replacement crossing guard, Police Department. R-106-20, authorized execution of trust fund project contract, Bergen County Open Space. R-107-20, appoint keyboarding clerk 1, Dion York, Tax Department. R-108-20, appoint part-time administrative assistant Angela Fava, Borough Administrator's Office. R-109-20, appointment of special legal counsel Apruzezi, McDermott, Mastro, Murphy. R-110-20, appointment of tax appeal conflict counsel Jonathan Testa, Esquire. R-111-20, authorized Recreation Department refunds. R-112-20, resolution requesting permission for the dedication by rider for the Coalition on Affordable Housing, COA fees required by mayor and council. R-113-20, resolution approving insufficient funds fee. R-114-20, a resolution establishing goals for contracting with veteran-owned business enterprises, hiring veterans in the municipal workforce, and recognizing the military service of residents in the civic affairs of the Borough of Elmwood Park. R-115-20, resolution authorizing tax exemption for disabled veteran. R-116-20, various appointments of firefighters. R-117-20, resignations of firefighters. R-118-20, appointment to Rec Advisory Board. R-119-20, appointment to Rec Advisory Board. R-120-20, appointment to Rec Advisory Board. R-121-20, establishing members of the Stigma-Free Task Force. R-122-20, approval to execute Teamsters Local 560 salary contract. And R-123-20, resolution to accept the consent agenda.
May I have a motion, please, to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mayor, before I call the roll, I just wanted to point out for the public that there is a typo in R-104-20. The amount that the borough is saving is $26,811.31.
Thank you for that correction.
On roll call, council members Fasolo,
Yes.
Golubek,
Yes.
Ingui,
Yes, with the exception of a few. R-109-20, no. R-105-20, I'm sorry, recuse on both of those. And R-8620, I will recuse myself on the check for Aviana Ingui.
so 86, 105, and 109.
Yes.
Thank you. Pellegrin,
Yes.
Wetchler,
I recuse myself on R-86-20 for Harry Wetch's paycheck, but yes to everything else.
Council President Ballesteri.
Yes, and I abstain on R-105-20 and R-109-20.
Motion carries.
Thank you. At this point, we're going to ask our attorney to take over the lead of the meeting.
For the sake of the continuation of this hearing, or this meeting, I'm going to request that in view of the nature of the matters that's going to be addressed, that I would think that certain members of the council may want to recuse themselves under the circumstances at this point, and that we can continue then with a roll call to,
Physically leave?
no,
Oh, okay, so just in
no,
a vote
it's just,
matter.
yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, it's just a matter of recusing yourselves with regards to any vote so as not to be considered part of the quorum.
Any concerns about that? No? Continue, please.
Okay. All right. In view of certain events that have occurred, mayor and council had retained, per council advice, a separate special counsel to address certain issues that have occurred in the borough. In view of those special situations, the special counsel has reported to the council and has made recommendations. In regards to those recommendations, the special counsel had prepared for the council and on behalf of the council to issue a press release, which I am requested and been requested by the council and by the special counsel to read at this time. The press release states as follows. The mayor and council of the borough of Elmwood Park, Bergen County, will consider for adoption at this meeting of February 27, 2020, several resolutions relating to the conduct of Councilman Daniel Golubach and Deputy Clerk Aaron Delaney. In 2019, Councilman Golubach served as a borough mayor. During the 2019 discussions took place involving the mayor Golubach with regards to the appointment of Aaron Delaney as the permanent borough clerk. Subsequent to the appointment of Aaron Delaney as the borough clerk, which was made on the fall of 2019, it had come to the attention of the current mayor and council that now Councilman Golubach was retained as a potentially paid position as a campaign manager for the Garfield 2020. A slate of candidates running in the November 3rd, 2020 general election for municipal office in the city of Garfield. One of the candidates is Borough Clerk Aaron Delaney. Both the Clerk of Elmwood Park Code and the Borough of Elmwood Park Code and the New Jersey Local Government Ethics Law prohibit a local government officer, such as Councilman Golubach, to participate in his official capacity in any manner where he was a direct financial interest. As a result of this conflict of interest, the borough is required to reaffirm the appointment of Aaron Delaney as the borough clerk by the adoption of a new resolution. Another incident occurred on December 13th, 2019, when then Mayor Danny Golubach entered the municipal building at approximately 12:30 a.m. without notifying the police department. That entry to the building was taking place at this hour. As a result, the police officers were required to investigate the entry and prepare an incident report. Then the Mayor Golubach was accompanied during the building entry by Borough Clerk Aaron Delaney. She, as the Borough Clerk, also neglected to notify the police department that entry to the building was being made during the early hours of December 13, 2019. As a result of these incidences, the mayor and council felt compelled to retain outside counsel to investigate both matters and advised the governing body as to how to proceed. The outside counsel has recommended to the governing body that resolutions be adopted reaffirming the appointment of Aaron Delaney without the taint of a conflict as to the borough clerk, and further, that the resolution will be adopted admonishing Councilman Gollabach and Clerk Delaney for their conduct in the early morning hours of December 13, 2019. These incidents also caused the borough to expend funds on outside counsel retained to investigate and recommend the course of action with regards to both of these incidences to the financial detriment of the borough taxpayers. Based on this findings and suggestions and recommendations by the special counsel, at this particular time, I was requested to present what is referred to as Resolution number 124-20, where resolution reads, whereas the mayor and council of both the Elmwood Park are required to reaffirm the appointment of Aaron Delaney as the borough clerk of the borough of Elmwood Park due to a conflict of interest under Section 2-56.2 of the Borough of Elmwood Park Code and the New Jersey Government Ethics Law, NJSA 40A:9-222-5. Since Councilman Gollabach participated in a discussion that took place in 2019 involving the appointment of Aaron Delaney as the borough clerk of the Borough of Elmwood Park, and whereas said conflict of interest involved having Councilman Gollabach, who served as 2019 as mayor of the Borough of Elmwood Park, be a paid campaign manager for Garfield 2020, involving a slate of candidates running in the 2020 general election for municipal office. Said slate of candidates included Aaron Delaney, running for municipal office in the city of Garfield. And whereas Councilman Gollabach, then Mayor Gollabach, at approximately 1:30 a.m. on December 13, 2019, entered the Borough Municipal Building with Borough Clerk Aaron Delaney without informing the Elmwood Park Police Department that an entry of this hour would take place. And whereas this incident necessitated having police officers of the borough search the building to determine who was in the building at this hour and to prepare an incident report with regards to said building entry. And whereas, as a result of the aforementioned conflict of interest and the building entry during the early morning hours of December 13, 2013, the mayor and council were required to retain outside counsel to provide advice with regards to both incidents and cause the taxpayers of the Borough of Elmwood Park to incur additional legal expenses. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that Councilman Daniel Gollabach is hereby admonished for having an above-referenced conflict of interest and causing the Borough of Elmwood Park Police Department to investigate entry to the Borough Hall in an early morning hours of December 13, 2019, and having the Borough of Elmwood Park incur additional legal expenses as a result of both incidences. Mayor, I would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
Well, there's three here. Could we be more specific? Is R124-20? Are we going to vote?
124-20, Mayor.
That's the one he just did.
I just read that.
Okay. So, a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Councilman Pellegrini, seconded by Councilman Ingram.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Do we discuss if you want to take the vote first, and then can we add a comment, or do you want us to add a comment now?
We can do that.
Before? Okay. I'd like to add a comment. I just want to say I am going to vote yes on this, due to the fact that the mayor and council agreed to hire this outside attorney to investigate the incident that occurred on December 13th, 2019. recommendations, as you just heard, were made by this independent attorney, and I agree and I support the decision. Since the beginning of this investigation, it has cost this borough approximately $20,000 in legal fees with the two attorneys. This was the lesser of the, I don't know what you want to say, but the lesser of what could have been done at this point. So I feel that we went out and hired this attorney. In no way is anyone trying to hurt anyone or anything, but when you spend money and agree as a governing body to protect your borough, and you pay a large amount of money to get recommendations and advice, and we agreed in the room, I think that this is why I'm voting the way I'm voting. So I just want that for the record. I'm taking the advice of the independent counsel that we paid and that we spent time speaking with, and that's why I'm voting the way I'm voting this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pellegrini. Any other discussion on the matter? Call the roll, please.
Council members Fasolo,
I recuse.
Golubek,
I recuse.
Ingley,
No.
Pellegrin,
Yes, for the reasons I stated.
Wetchler. No. Council President Ballasteri.
No.
Motion fails.
Counselor?
Council, next resolution is resolution number 125-20, resolution admonishing Borough Clerk Aaron Delaney. Whereas Aaron Delaney, clerk of the Borough of Elmwood Park, entered the Borough Municipal Building with the Mayor Daniel Golubek on December 13, 2019, at the approximate time of 12:30 a.m. without informing the Elmwood Park Police Department about said entry. And whereas the incident necessitated having police officers of the borough search the building to determine who was in the building at those hours and prepare an incident report with regards to said building entry. And whereas as a public official and the department head, Aaron Delaney had an obligation to inform the police department if there is to be in this entry early in the morning in order to avoid security issues related to the borough hall, which necessitated having the police search the building with concern for security. And whereas this building entry during the early morning hours of December 13, 2019 required the mayor and council to retain outside counsel to provide advice with regards to this incident. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that Borough Clerk Aaron Delaney is hereby admonished for the early morning entry to the Borough Hall, which necessitated unnecessary police response concerned about the security of Borough Hall. And therefore be it resolved that a copy of this resolution of admonishment be placed in the Borough Clerk's Aaron Delaney's Borough of Elmwood Park personnel files.
Motion on R 125-20.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Wetchler, second by Pellegrin. Council members Fasolo,
Recuse.
Golubek,
Recuse.
Ingley,
No.
Pellegrin,
Yes, and for the reasons I stated.
Wetchler. No. Council President Ballasteri.
No.
Motion fails.
Next, Mayor, is the resolution number 126-20, which is reaffirming the appointment of Borough Clerk, Ms. Erin Delaney. Whereas Erin Delaney was appointed as the Borough Clerk of the Borough of Elmwood Park pursuant to NJSA 40A:A-133 for the 3-year term beginning October 8, 2019, for the adoption of Resolution R-423-19 dated November 13, 2019. And whereas Councilman Daniel Golubek, who served as mayor of the borough at Elmwood Park at that time of said appointment, participated in a discussion with the then council, which resulted in the appointment of Aaron Delaney as the Borough of Elmwood Park clerk. And whereas it has come to the attention of the current mayor and council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that the then mayor Daniel Golubek, who now serves as a member of the council, had a conflict of interest serving as a campaign manager, a potential paid position of Garfield 2020, a slate of candidates including Borough Clerk Aaron Delaney, who are running for the municipal office in the city of Garfield, and as such would have recused himself from participating in any discussion related to the appointment of Aaron Delaney as Borough Clerk. And whereas the Borough Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park wishes to take action affirming the appointment of Aaron Delaney as the Borough Clerk of the Borough of Elmwood Park as a result of above referenced conflict of interest. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that Aaron Delaney is hereby appointed as Borough Clerk for the Borough of Elmwood Park for a 3-year term beginning October 8, 2019, and shall serve at the annual salary effective October 8, 2019, as set forth in Resolution R-423-19. This has been also confirmed and certified by the Chief Financial Officer of Elmwood Park, Roy Rigatano, that hereby confirms that there are sufficient funds available for said resolution.
Motion on Resolution R-126-20.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Wetchler, second by Ingwe. Council members Fasolo,
Recuse?
Golubek,
Recuse.
Ingwe,
Yes.
Pellegrin,
Yes.
Wetchler. Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. At this time, I'll move on to departmental reports. This evening, we have the Board of Health minutes for December 2019 and January 2020, Library Board minutes for December 16, 2019, and the Planning Board minutes for December 2019 and January 2020.
Motion, please, to accept.
So moved.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Council members Fasolo,
Yes.
Golubek,
Yes.
Ingwe,
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Wetchler. Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. My last item on the agenda is one application for Defender Fire Company Number 2, March 28, 2020, 50/50, Tricky Tray and Casino Night.
Motion to approve the application.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Call the roll, please.
Council members Fasolo,
Yes.
Golubek,
Yes.
Ingwe.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Wetchler. Council President Balistrary.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, that concludes my portion of the agenda this evening.
Thank you. Council reports. Mr. Fasolo.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to congratulate our Elmwood Parks competition cheerleading squad for placing first in multiple tournaments earlier this month. These achievements bring so much pride to our community. I just want to extend that congratulations. Thank you to all involved in today's Black and White Dress Down Day at our public schools. This was a dress down day to raise awareness for rare diseases. I also recently attended the Board of Education meeting and was glad to hear that a re-registration process is being worked on for our transition year students. This would be a huge savings for our taxpayers, and if implemented correctly, would relieve a huge burden on our school's budget as well. And the next Board of Education meeting will be held on March 24th at 7 p.m. Progress.
Thank you, Mr. Fasolo. Mrs. Westway.
Yes, there was no homeowners meeting last night, and there'll be no casino bus run this, thank you, Friday. The next meeting for homeowners will be Wednesday, March 25th at 7 o'clock at the Senior Center on Moeller Boulevard. The next casino bus trip would be March the 27th at 10 o'clock, leaving the rec center. The library meeting was held on Monday, February the 24th. The construction of the library is going on track. The next meeting for the library will be March 16th at 6 o'clock at the hut on the Moeller Boulevard. Children programs are filled. Everyone is so happy about that. The March programs for our toddlers are out already from 18 months to 3 months, March the 3rd, March 10th, March 17th, March 24th, March 31st at 10:30 a.m. You can call the hut on the Moeller Boulevard at elmwoodparklibrary.com to register for the program. We have adult programs there. The next adult program will be Tuesday, March the 3rd at 6 o'clock, and that's going to be in the Elmwood Park Rec Center, and it's called Dot Wooden Lucky Banner Craft Night. That's going to be for, St. Patrick's Day. The next one is the pre-K program. That's from 3 to 5, and the Lego program It's on March the 11th at 6:30. Please call the Elmwood Park Library to register. You must register. The chief has a question that was brought up at the library meeting the other night about our grants. People were saying that we're not applying for grants, for the addition to the library meeting. Chief, could you please explain it? About the programs, the grant writing for the library for the addition. Yes, please.
So grants are not available for the existing, work that was done. It's only for future improvements to the library, which I believe they intend on making further improvements or additions. That they can apply for. There's a grant that's coming available in the fall, and they'll be able to apply for that at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wetchler. Council President Ballesteri?
Okay, for recreation, basketball is running smoothly and more than halfway through the season. Spring travel, soccer registration is still going on. The Easter egg hunt is scheduled for April 4th at 10 a.m. sharp. Community Day is June 6th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., and the Food Truck Festival is September 12th. DPW, the holiday tree that was donated by the county has been planted at the Veterans Monument on Borough Field, behind the monument as a backdrop. Also, the newly installed shade trees have been moved to the outside perimeter due to conflict with the flag poles. Scott is also working with DEP and county officials to mitigate the culvert between Martha Ave and Kip Ave. This area has become overgrown and filled with silt, possibly causing stream backup and poor drainage for the community. They've also identified a large area of obstruction of Fleischer's Brook in the area of Parkway Lane's property and also Go Propane on Route 46. Crews have been working to remove the large tree and debris that may also have caused poor drainage. A water main break on Gilbert Ave has been repaired by the DPW crew. Men have also been working across the municipal building, clearing the land adjacent to the parking lot for future additional parking. Recently, crews have cleaned all underpasses with high-pressure water to remove pigeon feces and accumulated debris. The DPW continues to work with PSE&G and contractors installing gas lines on various streets in the borough. Council Corner. On January 25th, Councilwoman Pellegrin and I held Council Corner. Our guest speaker was Nicholas Pellegrin, CPA. With tax season upon us, he shared some new recent changes and welcomed questions from our residents. We also listened to concerns of limitless littering in areas of the town that were brought to our attention. The Police Department, DPW, are working on littering signs for specific areas. Our next stigma-free meeting was held on February 19th at 7 p.m. in the all-purpose room. Tonight, our task force for 2020 is put in place. Regarding our budget, I would like to thank our department heads, our BA, and of course Roy Rigatano, our CFO, who has been working with us for over 20 years on putting together an excellent budget. Thank you very much. Progress, Mayor.
Thank you, Sandy. I just want to piggyback on the Fleischer's Brook cleaning. The administrator and I this week, we had the opportunity to go down to where the DPW was clearing this debris, and they have a marvelous new machine. It's an excavator on tracks, and I witnessed firsthand, and anybody who's in construction out there would appreciate how it went right into the brook and it got rid of some snags that were there, and we actually visualized the brook receding 7 inches as he removed that one obstruction. It was a sight to see, but that was a very good acquisition by the DPW. Moving on, Mrs. Pellegrin.
Good evening, everyone. My Board of Health update. They had their meeting on February 10th. They have a new health inspector, Connor Brogan. The first rabies clinic will be held May 13th, and the second one will be held on November 11th, both from 5 to 7 p.m. at Firehouse Number 4 on Mola Boulevard. Their next meeting is Monday, March 9th at 7 p.m., and the public is always welcome to attend. My police update. As of January 1st, 2020, the police department has responded to 8,300 calls for service, logged 50 narcotic arrests, investigated 10 drug overdoses, deployed 6 Narcan deployed Narcan 6 times and investigated 2 overdose fatalities. The Elmwood Park Regional Chamber of Commerce will be having a breakfast meeting tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Location, All-Purpose Room, Borough Hall. Mayor Coletti will be the guest speaker. The chamber encourages businesses to attend, share their thoughts, visions for our community. To become a member, or if you have any concerns or questions, please call them at 201-796-1457, extension 230. The Residents Assistance Program. This past Sunday, the volunteer group ASEZ did a cleanup for our community. 80 volunteers were on hand to help make our community cleaner and safer. The areas they worked on were River Road between River Drive and Market Street, the Marina area, and the area around Mosquito Jungle. A special thank you to all the volunteers, Chief Feligno and the Police Department, and Scott Cars for all helping out that day. The group will be back in the spring for another cleanup. Mayor Coletti was on hand that day, and I know he wants to say something about that.
Yeah, Mayor Coletti didn't have it on his schedule, and it just by chance, I was riding by, and I seen this mass body of people, all in the same T-shirts, and then it dawned on me that this was the cleanup day. And I opened up by telling the kids, because I felt like, to be honest with you, I felt like a phony standing there, didn't participate in the cleanup, and there I am taking a picture. But you were very nice and cordial to me and allowed me to take that picture with you. I was amazed, to tell you the least. These kids were from Missouri, in the sense that the Show Me State, well, they didn't talk about it. They went out there, and do we have pictures of the garbage that was piled on the
Yes.
side of the road?
Yes.
It was tremendous. And from what I understand, not one child was injured
No.
in the process. I shouldn't say children.
They're college students.
College students. Well, to me, they're children. And it was really amazing to see, and a job well done, and I take my hat off to you.
Thank you, Mayor. In progress.
Mrs. Engley.
My fire report tonight, for the month of January, the fire department responded to 44 calls, totaling 619 man-hours. The fire department also supplied mutual aid 6 times to surrounding communities for assistance, either on standby or at the scene of the fire. The department conducted 14 drills for the month, totaling 383 man-hours. 2 weeks ago, the department conducted a department drill at the new FW Webb building and the new car wash on Route 46. Members were able to pre-plan the building in the event of an emergency and also received a lesson in building construction. Year-to-date, the fire department has responded to 88 calls. I just want to piggyback on Mr. Fasolo. I would also like to thank the Elmwood Park Education Association for hosting its 4th annual Black and White Day. Students and staff dressed in black and white to raise awareness for rare disease. It's always an emotional day for me to see how many people support Rare is Beautiful and our mission. In progress.
Excellent. Mr. Golombek.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to start off with a update on the planning board. This will probably be interesting to everyone. Lidl, which is the company, the supermarket that has been rumored to be coming into where the Acme once was, will be appearing before the board, I think in March and probably maybe over the next few months. So that process is moving forward, and hopefully at least half of that building will be occupied, I would imagine, at some point this year. So first I want to thank, obviously switching gears, thank my colleagues, those who shut down the ridiculous admonishment resolution that was on the agenda today. Obviously, I was not in many executive sessions. Well, I wasn't in these executive sessions. I don't know how it came to be, but frankly, a ridiculous reaction that is not proportionate to what even occurred here. So let me once, and I've said this to the media, but I'll be very clear to the public. Every time I've ever been in this building, whether as a resident, as a councilman, as a mayor, or back as a councilman, has been for professional matters and business matters, period. I'll repeat that. Every time I have ever been at Borough Hall as a resident, councilman, mayor, or otherwise, has been for business and professional matters, period. Literally, as we were transitioning between mayors from 2019 going into 2020, a special meeting was called. It was called for a Monday to discuss a personnel matter. First and foremost, whether it involved me or not, was not consulted about that meeting being scheduled, both as the mayor and as an, once again, incoming council person. When there was already a regularly scheduled Thursday meeting that Thursday, as well as one the next Thursday. As many know, we typically do business by taking executive matters and placing them at the tail end of our Thursday meetings and dealing with them one by one. For some strange reason, perhaps to attract the attention of the public and the media, this was scheduled for a Monday with one item listed. So that was how this situation started. And it was interesting because I had spoken to all of my colleagues prior to that to let them know that there were some unfortunate and baseless rumors already floating around. But I had that face-to-face conversation with every person and said that this is a thing and everything, but I'm being upfront with you and discussing with you now. Nothing happened for several weeks, and then that meeting was scheduled out of the blue. Some told me, no, we're being thorough, and some pretty much alluded to that it doesn't look like everyone has good intentions in this process. Because of that simultaneously happening, I had existing this issue that at some point in 2019, around September, October, I kind of informally was announced as taking an official role in a campaign in Garfield that the clerk happens to take part in. I've not made a dollar off of that. I haven't. I may or may not. That's beside the point. What I was trying to do is, seeing that this process was already taking off, and I didn't have much confidence in it, protect both myself and the clerk by putting this forward, declaring this to the mayor and council specifically, that this exists, again, for various reasons, but there are malicious and bad actors in our community who will latch on to things in the future in order to go back in time and try to make people's lives different or upend people's livelihoods. So I submitted that to the mayor and council as clearly as I possibly could. I pretty much said, hey, I have a conflict, right? At that point, I thought it was pretty clear. I mean, I stated it. All it took was for any attorney to, whether they have to use the internet or consult case law or whatever, the Ethics Act, is to come to the conclusion that was come to here. So I had a feeling that it would end up that it would be a reaffirmation of the appointment. I knew at some point that this would become a media moment because there were people anonymously sending Oprah requests, looking for this, looking for that, all sorts of insinuations and innuendos online, which is fine. That's part of the process. What I did not expect is, and again, I was not in these discussions, but for these two kinds of resolutions admonishing us for being in the building at a certain time. I'm humble enough to take responsibility for the perception that it could create and that it did create. And I do take responsibility for that. But my conscience is absolutely clean and clear in that, once again, when I'm in this building, I'm doing business. And that was stated over and over again. And any insinuation to the contrary or any addition of facts is not supported by any facts, and is truly unfortunate. These resolutions, once again, I think are ridiculous. As far as I know, there was mass confusion as to what and was not the intent of the council. But I understand the resolution. You know, if you ever wanted to do something to a public official, because we're judged by the people, this is your way to do it. What blows my mind, this truly blows my mind, is that with all the professionals involved, all the different legal professionals, that someone put forward to this council that it was a good idea to publicly admonish one of your employees. I've never heard of that ever. I mean, I'm not saying I've been around for forever, but we have had employees over the years, in this community and others, we've had employees test positive for drugs. We've had issues of fraud, civil rights violations, all different things all around the borough that are dealt with in the normal matter of personnel business. And at the end of the day, if you know, the one time it would ever come to a public situation is if the employee asked for it to be in public, or if there was a termination at some point on an agenda, which has happened in certain situations. To me, it's mind-blowing that course of action was taken in this case within a public employee that, as far as I know, did not violate a single rule or policy. And we're talking about did not notify the police department they're in the building. That never existed. Like we're talking about things that maybe going forward will be implemented or maybe have as a result of this, but that did not exist. So I mean, like it's almost like we're creating rules to punish people that did not did not even exist. I will not take responsibility for $20,000 in legal fees incurred. There was nothing extremely complicated about this situation whatsoever. You had from the very beginning the same exact thing coming from both people saying there's nothing here, we're professionals. That's it. That was clear from the beginning, it's clear today, and will remain clear forever. You had myself declare a conflict which required extremely minimal effort for anybody after that fact to research if it's on a legal level. The council chose to incur legal fees. That was a choice on something that is not really a complicated matter whatsoever. So I totally reject that. And honestly, we have legal representation. We have legal representation. Some communities do an hourly billing with their borough attorney or a firm of choice. We do a fixed amount per year, and these are legal matters that I think the council could have had dealt with in-house. So I will not take responsibility for this council choosing to make this into a circus and spending $20,000. I think this entire thing was unnecessary. I do think that there were bad intentions in pushing this, because ultimately all that was accomplished was embarrassing two individuals that did not deserve it based on the facts whatsoever. So needless to say, I am disappointed, but I am grateful that, at least for the government end of this, that this should be the end of it. What others choose to do in their spare time is not my decision, but my conscience is clean. I do my job to the best of my ability, and I simply cannot control when other people want to make issues out of things that simply are not issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm going to allow Mrs. Delaney to speak at this point.
Thank you, Mayor. That's a tough act to follow, but I just want to reiterate that I too have always acted and will always act in a professional manner when I enter this building, no matter what time of day. I take my job very seriously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And despite all the hats that I may wear and that certain people like to point out, I know I do my job well and still to this day save the taxpayers money. It's unfortunate that a personnel matter is being dealt with publicly. I am truly disappointed with the procedure and process that took place, but I refuse to let this affect the kind and professional manner in which I serve you, the mayor and council, and your residents. Again, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. As far as the mayor's report, I'll keep it brief. I could tell you this, that we are working, the mayor and council are working on maybe 5 or 6 different initiatives that will all come to fruition in the near future. Stay tuned. But I do want to report, we had a JIF safety meeting this morning, in our accident frequency report, which basically tells how many accidents we have in the course of the year throughout the whole municipality, was very close to 0. And that's including Marcal. That's a phenomenal achievement. Great job by all the department heads, and we will be given an award in the very near future. With that, I would like to call for a motion to open this meeting to the public. All in favor? Anyone from the public here to speak, come to the podium, please. State your name and your address, and let's all be civil this evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Homer Drive.
You have to hold it down until it turns green.
Regarding the resolutions, the last two, were they part of the consent agenda? Because they're all... I'll shut it off. Okay.
Maybe that's an omen, Jeff.
Pardon me?
Maybe that's an omen.
Okay, they all are marked consent agenda. Are they all consent agenda? Part of the consent agenda.
I originally had them on the consent agenda, but I had pulled them off the consent agenda as directed. So that's a typo on my end where I forgot to delete that from the tops of the resolutions.
Okay, now, what I'm getting at is the type of procedure that's followed here regarding reaffirming the appointment of the borough clerk. Now, is that a normal resolution? I kind of researched this a little bit, and the only thing I could find out, reaffirming something is usually referring to bankruptcies and things like that. I don't know how you reaffirm something that's already happened. You could maybe rescind the motion or reconsider and then go about appointment as what the commission mentioned. Because it's even different people voting. All the same people aren't here. You can reaffirm, you can confirm the action by reconsidering and withdrawing the original list. But is that a normal resolution, reaffirm?
Good question.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
Although I am the borough attorney with an obligation, and my obligation when I was appointed was to represent the whole council as a body. I'm not here to represent a particular councilman or particular mayor by themselves. So therefore, under circumstances, it's best at times to be cautious and to allow certain aspects to be handled in a fashion which are more open, more clear, and they would prevent any appearances of conflict. Ethics is a very fine line, especially in the legal profession. Let me answer. I'm going to answer your question, okay? What happens here is that when a legal counsel was appointed in order to investigate the issue and advise mayor and council of their options, or what options they would take, the particular special counsel, after investigation, came to a conclusion. And because of certain aspects, which have now become clear to me with the press release that I just read out earlier, the special counsel believed that there could be some sort of conflict which could bring into light the prior resolution appointing Ms. Delaney as in a conflict, which would technically void it. In order to not go through a process of rescinding, a reaffirmance by the body without the tainted, potential taint, is a procedure which can normally be followed. It's actually not a new resolution, but it's a resolution reaffirming the prior resolution as a vote without the appearance of the conflict. And that's done.
But different people voted.
But it's the people who were there that actually voted at the time. The individuals,
They're not all here now?
yes, they are.
No, they're not. One of the council members.
He recused though, so he's irrelevant.
I'm not
He-
voting for that.
Ms. Fava was a councilwoman at the time, and you were not a voting council member at the time.
Correct, thank
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
but it's reaffirmed by the present council because Ms. Fava's presence at the time, she is no longer here, so therefore she has no availability of
That's why I'm saying
doing.
rescinding the original motion.
Well, it's six of one and half of the other, half a dozen of the other, Mr. Freitag.
Okay, so the other thing is this. What is the correct date? Should be the 14th, I think.
The appointment was effective October 8th, the date of my exam.
I understand it, but I'm talking about the original vote.
It was November 14th, correct?
Right, and this says the 13th, the resolution.
Typographical error.
I didn't
prepare
That he confirms, Mr. Rigatano confirms the money's available.
correct.
Okay, one other thing, since it was brought up this evening, I wasn't gonna bring it up, about the library. I thought that was for the library, and that was it. But the only thing I wanna say is my question regarding that, and I'll direct this through the mayor to, borough administrator, is that if there was anything new to be done to the library, that there was a date of March the 9th through April the 6th, where an application can be made to get this fund, some money if it's available. And what was said that evening, which I don't know if it was confusion or whatever, is that they couldn't apply and they were told they couldn't apply. And that was my question. And I said, well, I don't know why you couldn't, because it was still open and nobody applied yet. And the applications were able to be completed and sent. And that was my question. So as far as what the library director, interim or whatever she is, she said that she was told she couldn't apply. And that's maybe where the confusion came. And now you're talking about being able to apply in the fall. Why couldn't they apply now?
Now I'm confused. I really don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand your question.
Okay,
She asked us if she could apply for a grant for the existing work. The grant writer said no. If you're gonna do additional work, you
That I
can
understand.
apply for that in the fall.
Yeah.
That's the extent of what I know. I don't know about any pre-discussions.
Because I'm not saying anything, because that's when I brought it up. You were there. You were there too. I know you weren't there, I'm sorry. That's what I asked, about anything new. I said, I know that the project didn't have everything in there, but there were plans that had existed. And that's what I was talking about. And that did not come out clearly.
Jeff, we had not enough money for the addition, and
Now you're talking something different.
well, that's why you were talking about the grant writer. We didn't have enough money to go. We had the plans for the addition, but we did not have enough money for the addition. So that's why we took the money and put it into the library itself. And you're talking about a grant writer, because you have matching funds, which we had said that. You needed $500,000 to go start the grant writing again, so that we have to match the money that the state will give us.
And as I
500, and we
recall,
don't
that
have it.
You have $1.88 million.
We haven't paid all our bills yet, Jeff. Nothing's come in yet. The finished work has not come in. The furniture has not come in. Anything else in that building has not come in. We did not finally finish all the bills. Nothing has been final touched.
I would assume anything is encumbered. You're saying you're going to spend,
Hey, Jeff, may I say something? I think this is an item that should be discussed at the library because of the fact...
bring it up.
Oh, no, but I truly believe that. I'm not trying to dish you on this, but I think all those answers could be made or asked at our next library meeting.
It's already too late.
Okay, well,
I'm a townsperson, I pay taxes, there was money. I stated my case there, asked how much money was left in 2019. I was told at that point they had $2,888,448 and whatever the cents was.
okay, so could you be specific? What is actually your question? What, I'm not getting it.
She stated that evening, the library director, that they could, she was told by the borough administrator, and probably rightfully so, she had stated to him that she wanted to apply for everything that's in process right now. This is for stuff new. And I know the original plans contained other things besides what's being done.
Okay.
I have all the emails here, very clearly.
Oh, I'm not saying you don't, because I was at the meeting, I wasn't the only person at the meeting. Some of the people are in this room who were there.
Okay, was,
Pretty clearly stated it, rather. So, I don't know, maybe I was speaking a different language.
and Jeff, you also stated that we didn't need a new motor for our elevator that's 45 years old. Why are we
No, I did
spending?
not state that.
You did so, you stated
Okay.
about the wooden.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
never mind.
What I said was you were spending $100,000 to replace and move a motor. And I asked simply, how long's the thing been in there? 40-plus years. Did it ever fail? No. I said, well, then why do you have to relocate it, spend $100,000 versus about maybe $5,000 to replace a new one? That was the question. I think people ought to learn to stick to the facts and listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freitag. Anyone else care to speak?
Ms. Christowitz, 256 Pensac Avenue. I was going to come up here and talk about curb, but it seems that Mayor Coletti's not happy with the budget. The taxpayers are on the hook now for $20,000 in legal fees. And I'm just, although the majority voted and believed that Daniel and Erin did nothing wrong, that's not the perception of a lot of the public. And I think it's unethical that Daniel would negotiate Erin's salary while he was her mayor. I find that unethical. To come into a building at 1 o'clock in the morning, pictures don't lie. We saw the pictures. Again, you know, you guys have a relationship beyond the board, and I've seen it in posts, okay? Hugs and kisses, my BFF. I just think that, you know, to also be on her campaign is unethical. So I think that we, as the public, can also file ethic complaints against, if we wanted to. I think Daniel Goldbeck should resign. I think he has shown unprofessionalism. I mean, you're here at 1 in the morning with your hands on this woman's butt. So you tell me, you know, that, you know, you were here for business. You could, you know, spin it any way you want and, you know, be righteous up there and think that, hey, you know, I did nothing wrong, and, you know, they were wrong, and going forward with it, it's their, you know, they wasted the 20,000, or one person wasted the 20,000. But, you know, I had to say my piece. And, you know, I'm not getting curbs because $20,000 was spent unnecessarily. You know, when you're...
I thought, oh, wait, I thought we resolved that,
No,
Kurt.
we didn't.
Is the gas company coming down your road?
That doesn't mean everyone's getting...
Oh, yes, it does. Listen, please. Any repavement that we do in town, whether it's forced by the gas company or not, where there's no curbs, they will be replaced because it behooves the process. So Gladys, your curbs are coming.
You said that on record.
Providing public services is going down the road. Now, can somebody?
They're going down every road. They're going to pay
Okay, so then your curb will be replaced. All right? Anyone else care to speak?
Joe Dombrowski, 274 Lincoln Avenue. Mayor, I'm going to ask these questions of you because I'm going to try to follow the policy of going through the mayor. However, if you don't know the answer, you can ask feel free to ask the council.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, first of all, let me ask you a question. I've served as a councilman here for 5 years and 8 months. In that 5 years and 8 months, I don't recall there ever being a policy saying that we as council people are not allowed to come into the building at whatever time of the day. And I will tell you to the public, everybody sitting here, as a sitting councilman, I would come off of a plane at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. First thing I'd do, I'd stop in here, pick up my mail, do whatever I have to do. We're part-time council people. We're not full-timers. We have full-time day jobs. So we have to utilize the hours that are necessary, whether you're a student, same situation, or not. Okay? So I'm going to ask the mayor, do we have a policy that says that nobody's allowed in the building after a certain hour?
Okay, I'm going to...
Especially when we all had keys to get into the building.
Policy, I don't know if, I'm going to give this question to our administrator.
We do now.
Okay, you do now. Did you have one then, when this whole incident occurred? Okay. Case in point. Mike, did I not come to many council meetings and say that I understand your concern about safety in the building, and I suggest that you do key fobs and not keys? And a key fob being a little card that says, okay, Joe Dombrowski walked into the building at 9:15 in the evening, and he left at 9:20. That's what a key fob does. You know who's in the building.
But it allows more than one person in. Thanks for explaining.
So my point being is this whole investigation, you would know that Joe Dombrowski's in the building, and there's no need for an investigation. First of all, I congratulate Councilwoman Weckler, Council President Ballesteri, and Councilwoman Ingley for stepping up and doing the right thing and voting the right way. It's a travesty what we all had to go through, especially after the last 6 months that we've had in this town. We didn't need any more dirty laundry. Now, Mayor, I heard Councilwoman Pellegrin say that we spent $20,000 on extra legal fees. Wasn't there a special resolution that said that you weren't going to spend anything more than $7,500? How did we get to $20,000?
May I answer that through you, Mayor?
Yes, Kathy.
I wanted to know, as a councilwoman, from the incident that occurred on December 13th, how much money we spent in legal fees. Yes, the one attorney we hired was $7,500, but there was another attorney from December that was also in on meetings that charged us a service. I called the BA. I did the reasonable thing as a councilwoman and said, Mike, how much did we spend so far on legal fees? And that's the amount that he gave me. He said approximately $20,000, Lorraine. Okay, so I have the right as a resident and a councilwoman to ask that question and know the answer.
You answered the $20,000. Now I'll ask the question. Did you have a special resolution approving the additional $12,500 for this other attorney that was involved in this?
I think the cost of the other attorney came prior to that resolution, if my memory serves me correctly.
I can answer that,
Was there a
Mayor.
resolution stating that that attorney was going for this particular reason?
Joe,
I believe, Mayor,
you want an answer?
please.
In a situation like this, it protects everyone to get all the proper legal information you can. You make one mistake, it can bring ramifications that make the $20,000 look like nothing. They can go into hundreds of thousands of dollars. So in a situation like this, so delicate, you want the proper advice.
Okay? I'll go with that. So basically, Mayor, you've been a councilman with me, a sitting councilman with me. When I was first elected, you were also there. We hired Joe Randazzo. We hired Joe Randazzo at a salary of $47,980. Okay? During that time, Joe was with us for 2 years. He basically got a 2% raise every year going forward. So in 16 he made $48,900, 17 $49,900, and then we brought in Mr. Giblin. Both Mr. Randazzo and Mr. Giblin handled all personnel matters in this community except for special police situations. Okay? And I might be mistaken. Mr. Giblin might actually have done some of the special police. The only reason why Mr. Randazzo couldn't is because he's a municipal judge somewhere. Okay? So why would Mr. Ingraffia not be the one to do this? It doesn't take rocket scientists to figure out that you have to just redo the ordinance. I think an internet attorney could figure that one out. You had to go and spend $20,000 to do this? Now, Mr. Ingraffia's salary, because this brought me back now to go to the salary ordinance for this year. And last year, Mr. Ingraffia made $51,956. And this year he's making $54,000. That's not a 2% raise, folks. That's 4%. Now I'm going to say, you had a resolution on here that you're hiring a special tax appeals attorney for $9,600. Is Mr. Ingraffia giving up $9,600 of his salary to pay for this special tax attorney?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Does anybody care to answer that?
Okay, well, I will tell you, and the council members that are on this board with that were here when Mr. Randazzo was here, and you were mayor, Mr. Randazzo had an issue with doing tax appeals, but he gave up $8,000 of his salary to pay for this special tax attorney. So why are we paying $9,600 today for a special tax attorney when we have an attorney that can do it? If he has an issue with it, he should be giving that $9,600 back to the mayor and council so we could pay for the special counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been through this, we've been through a circus today, and I think the true story here is that we're overspending. Okay, 4% raise for the increase to the borough attorney. If you don't have confidence in your borough attorney, why do you have it? Okay, we had confidence in Joe Randazzo. We had confidence in Brian Giblin. Okay, now I'll ask another question. I'll say another thing. We're going up $79. You said that we had a 1% increase. I think the increase to the borough attorney, the extra increase to the borough attorney, I look back at the salary ordinance, and there are some employees that had special certifications that entitled them to more than a 2% raise. Mr. McGrath, you got 4. Okay? We have a gentleman, a DPW worker that's out there almost 365 days a year, at 24 hours a day, that he only got a 2% raise. Okay? Sorry, he's not Bryce. But my point is that we've got people that are actually working for this community, and then we got somebody who's making money and not doing anything for the community because we got to put money out to go to special counsels. So that's a little bit of the tip of the iceberg. Then I go back and I realize, you know, when I left the council in September, I was making $5,000. Now this year, the mayor and council is making $7,500 and $8,000. $7,500 for a council member. That's a 50% increase. 50% increase. Shame on you, Mayor. You only got a 45% increase. You got screwed. Okay? But seriously, you're talking about our tax dollars going up. This is the reason why your tax dollars are going up. Because they're spending it like crazy. I was not part of this. This was all done after I left. Now, Mayor, through you again, I'm going to ask you, I see that you're appointing an administrative assistant to our BA. My only question is there a state statute that says a civil service employee, and technically we all report to civil service, you're all in the pension program, okay? Don't you have to wait 6 months? Isn't there a state statute that says you have to wait 6 months? Doesn't a police officer, when they leave the police department, they can't work in another municipality for 6 months? I don't have an issue with the person, but the person was a council member at the end of December.
Yeah.
That person, technically, if I'm not mistaken, there's a state statute that says you cannot hold an elected position and then get hired within 6 months. I could be wrong.
Okay. Can we check that out, please? We did. And you want to answer it then?
Labor attorney advised that there's no statute that would say that.
Does Mr. Angrafi agree with you?
Labor attorney. We have a special labor attorney, Mr. Dombrowski, that you're well aware of.
I understand that. But unfortunately, the labor attorney should also be Mr. Angrafi, in my opinion. Except when it comes to police issues.
Special labor issues, you know, go to the labor attorney.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bigger story here is not what you heard about the resolutions today. The bigger story is that the spending is getting crazy. Okay, keep your eyes open. Mr. Golombek and Ms. Delaney answered to the public a few weeks ago and said that they're doing business.
He's grandstanding. He talks to us, Dr.
I'm talking, the microphone's not working, so I'm trying to so that you.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
My point being is.
I'll take care of it.
My point being is that they both publicly stated what their intentions were in this building. I personally have come into this building many a times late at night to do exactly the borough business. And it's crazy what I've seen today, and I applaud the 3 council people for stepping up. I feel bad for Erin because she's an employee here. not an elected official. She's an employee here. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Dombrowski, can I just state one thing? I just want to go back to what you said about the council's raise. We did not all agree on that. I just want you to go back to your notes because there are some of us that did not agree with that increase.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody else care to speak?
Mike Buford, 14 Phillip Ave.
How are you, Mike?
Can you spell your last name? I'm sorry.
Jason Boy, you, F as in Frank, I as like in Sam. Mr. Dombrowski just touched on salaries. From what I read in the paper, the clerk's salary is 70 grand a year, right? Is that a full-time position or part-time position?
It's a full-time position, and I actually make 85,000.
Hours are? Business hours are?
8:30 until 4,
30 to 4.
except sometimes I'm here later.
What are the business hours in Prospect Park?
For the clerk,
Yes.
there are no set business hours in Prospect Park.
Because now, if she's gonna, if you leave early, who's covering? Is that the part-time clerk's position that's on the website right now, to float in?
Mayor, through you, can I answer that?
Yes.
Should be considered a part-time position then?
Let me say this. As long as she is abiding by the stated hours, there's nothing that we can do or say. It's like asking anybody out there after their 8 to 4:30 job, they have a part-time job. You don't want to stifle that. And as long as the performance is on the money, which is being monitored, we really have nothing to say at this point.
I'm just hoping that a full-time position, she stays here full-time, doesn't start doing the part-time work while she's on holiday.
I've been here now 2 months, and I think she's doing a very,
I'm just going by what I'm reading in the papers.
okay, and I like to clear it up. I'm here just approximately 2 months, and she, as far as I'm concerned, she's doing a brilliant job.
Okay, good.
Through you, Mayor, can I answer that question? So the advertisement on the website, we had a retirement in the tax department office. Ms. Chaconis left at the, in February. So she's being replaced tonight, actually, this evening. And there are also going to be some other internal changes in the tax department because the tax collector is retiring and someone else will be moving into that position potentially. So that part-time position, as Mr. Dombrowski said, we are a civil service community. Clerk is a common title for everyone. There are keyboard and clerk ones all throughout every department. So that has nothing to do with the clerk's office. My office is actually understaffed compared to the former clerk, and we've taken on additional duties acting as the mayor's current secretary, which used to be a full-time paid, including benefits position, which we've done at no additional compensation for the last 2 months.
As long as I get clarification other than what I read in the papers. You know?
And my hours are again 8:30 to 4, but as a department head, as long as I have my 62 and a half hours a week, which I always do, and exceed that, you know.
And I'd just like to add that when I first came back, we all know I had Pat Burke, who was here for many years, and irreplaceable type of person. I was skeptical about how I was going to replace her, and I said, well, let me give this a shot. I spoke with our administrator, and I said, let's see if with the people we have, if we can get the job done as the mayor's secretary. And to this day, in this moment, knock on wood, it's working. And if it continues to work, I will not be requesting a secretary. And that's due to what our administrator, his secretary, and what Erin's department has been doing for me. So we should be, if it continues, we should be up one salary in the resident's pocket here.
Another question. I don't want to keep hashing on it, but when everybody said that they entered the building without notifying the police department, you may not be able to answer this, maybe counsel or Mike, I'll ask you to spin your hat, become a police chief again. Could that have constituted trespassing at that point? And could a summons have been issued? Or, according to the videos that I see, 3 police officers up and down the hall, nobody asked them to leave?
Yes, Mr.
That
Administrator.
would not constitute trespassing. Trespassing would be if you have no legal right or authority to be in the building. That was not the case.
Okay, so I'm just looking for answers. that point because of, if anybody wants to say, for lack of a better word, their negligence. Could they be admonished to cover the fee for the legal fees, split it between them? Because that was unnecessary money that the town had to spend because of negligence.
Yeah.
That's a choice the council made that they did not have to make. They knew by getting special outside,
It's hard to get an impartial attorney that doesn't know anybody on the council.
and ultimately, I mean, based on what you saw here today, it was probably a waste of money based on the results of it.
From the video I saw, I don't think it was a waste of money. I mean, in one of my jobs, my job is to observe people, watch body language, to tell who's got contraband, who's got weapons and whatnot on my other job. Body language spoke volumes in that video that I saw from NJ.com.
Okay.
So, I just think the town shouldn't be on the hook for that 20 grand. That 20 grand can go to something more useful that we need, other than wasting on a private attorney. And I understand the reason why the town did it, because the council here knows everybody. You want somebody impartial that doesn't know anybody, doesn't think they owe somebody a favor or anything like that, bring in an outside. I agree with that 110%, but I don't agree with the fact that the town has to foot the bill because of negligence, not notifying anybody. Mr. Dombrowski said that everybody's got keys, you can come in. According to everything in the paper, they were in the building not more than a couple of hours ago. They came back in. Nobody was aware they came back in. I'm sure the police downstairs were aware of the fact that everybody vacated the building. But, you know, now you had 3 officers patrolling the hall, which could have been doing something a little more productive, which took manpower off the streets maybe. I don't know. Were they in the building because of arrests? Maybe. Did they come in off the street to back up? I don't know. That's only something the police chief can answer that, and I'm not gonna hold him to making a claim on that right now. But I don't agree with the 20 grand being coming out of the taxpayer's pocket. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else care to speak? Yes, I see a hand coming up there.
I'm Barbara Vonderhagen. My last name is V as in Victor, O, N as in Nancy, space, D as in David, E, M as in Mary, space, H as in Harry, A, G as in George, E, N as in Nancy. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, and this is the census year. In Ridgewood, that's my chapter, they are having a complete count committee. And are we doing anything in Elmwood Park for the census? I feel it's very important that we get the word out to our citizens, about the people who live in town, residents, that everybody needs to, fill out their form. And I'm volunteering to be a person who might go to the Board of Education and speak to them on behalf of, if you don't have a complete count committee yet. I'm looking for helpers, maybe go to the churches in town, the Senior Citizen Center, but I'd like to spread the word, but I don't want to do it on my own. I'd like to have,
Well, how can we help you?
well, just if I'm representing the town, I'd like to say.
Mayor, can I add something if I could just jump in? When I was still mayor, I had met somebody from the census, and obviously now is the changeover. To your point, a lot of communities have committees that are like, make sure everyone's counted. What I would suggest is we put this on the March work session, and, yourself and whoever else wants to spearhead that committee, that's something we should do. Because the more accurately that we're counted, the better, the more juice we get from the government, from the state, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Community, representations in Trenton, drawing on the lines, and also in Washington DC, school funding, there's so many things, infrastructure, the census, so many things, funding depends on the correct count. And some people, it's a very fearful time for some people. So I would like to get the word out. Can I do it before March? Because I believe that there's going to be something in your mailbox mid-March, everybody, and you can fill it out online. You can call in your responses. If haven't done it by a certain date, they will mail you a paper response, and if it hasn't been completed, then they will send out people to go out.
When's the deadline on this?
Well, there's mailing out, there's a few days in March, so it isn't all at the same time, but say a week's time span. The census is April 1st, 2020. I believe that they'll be given maybe to the end of April before they start sending people to the door.
Okay, so we're going to meet, correct me if I'm wrong on the date, this would be March 5th. So we're going to meet on March 5th. We can discuss this, and whatever resolve comes from our discussion, we then can, hopefully it's going to be in a plus to help you, but we need to discuss it as it's been indicated here. All right, fair enough? Is that fair enough?
What time on the 5th?
12 o'clock at night. Seven o'clock, right? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else care to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mary Doyle, 189 Savannah Ave. I'm just wondering, has any other employees' personal records been released to the public? Is that common practice?
What's your question?
Has any other employees of the town, has their personal records been released to the public?
No.
Is that common practice?
No.
No.
So this is the first?
I can't answer that.
What's your question
Has
is,
any other employees' personal records been released to the public?
what,
Is this common practice?
what do you mean by personnel records? What,
Personnel records, admonishments, so forth.
In reference to what?
Like if there are admonishments within your employees in the district, in the town, are those records released to the public?
Are you going back? How far are you going back?
Now, is that common practice? When I'm
I have, since I have been here, there has been no admonishments or any kind of records that would have been out.
would be released to the public?
That would be. I'm not,
Okay, so this is the first.
what
They're not
is the
releasable
first?
under the Open Public Records
What-
Act. No, they are not.
Right, okay, thank you.
Anybody else care to speak? Yes. Mr. Delaney, how are you, sir?
Living a dream. Don't wake me up. Thank you, Mayor. I'm here, see, the city of Garfield and Borough of Elmwood Park always had a great relationship. I mean, I sat with Mayor at the time and your clerk at a community block grant meeting in Hackensack, where we all three worked together to bring hundreds of thousands of dollars to both towns. I worked with the former mayor, Mayor Mola, I don't know how many times on community block grant, bringing money back to our communities. So we've always had this great relation. One of them was for the Fleischmann Brook, Fleischmann Brook, very important to both towns.
In reference to that, what was that, that pipe, that, what was it called?
By Kip Ave, there
Yeah.
was the cleanliness of the down the crush pipe,
All right.
that where the Mayor Mola at the time was very interested, and so were the city of Garfield. We both worked together. When my nephew wears an Elmwood Park football jersey, when he's playing Garfield, I don't get upset.
He doesn't get beat, he doesn't get beat up? He doesn't get beat up? What?
No, I just don't get a business.
Okay.
So we always had that great relationship, always have, and I want to commend you on that. And I'm not up here to thank you for voting for my daughter, Erin Delaney. I'm actually up here to congratulate you for getting probably the best clerk in the state of New Jersey right now. See, not only did she pass her test on her first try, which we all know hardly anybody does, not only does she have a master's, not only did she step in when you had that whole dark cloud with the former mayor coming in, with the counting of the votes and everything. And then you had your hacking of your computers. So, I mean, let's think back to all that went on over there, and to find out, and the reason why I'm up here is because Garfield 2020 was brought up in one of your resolutions, And I'm here as a Garfield 2020 member, along with other members from that ticket. And yes, we chose Danny to be our campaign manager. But it was Councilwoman Garfield Delaney who brought up to our attention where there is a ruling by local finance board that state's relationship between an elected official and the campaign deputy treasurer or campaign manager is simply not one in itself, which poses no conflict pursuant to the local government ethics law. Now, why is it that she could find that out, but your attorney can't? And your attorney writes an admonishment resolution for Dan being a campaign manager, where it's a conflict of interest. I mean, first of all, he's not getting paid. I don't know, I hope he don't think he's getting paid. and it's probably going to cost him money. You know, being an elected official, I sit up just like all of you here. And I know I have to have faith in our paid administration, our paid professionals, our attorneys, our city managers. I trust in their opinion on all matters before I vote on it. So for your attorney to come up with a recommendation where that's a conflict of interest, I can't believe that. You know, whether it be your city attorney here or the attorney that you hired, it's unbelievable. I have to have full faith in my attorney as a deputy mayor in the city of Garfield. And honestly, what I see here tonight isn't full faith in the attorneys representing Elmwood Park. And that's just the way that I feel. Thank you.
May I, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Mayor Delaney, Deputy Mayor Delaney, I find it necessary now to address your comment. I laid back and did not address Mr. Dombrowski's comment, and I felt a little more respectful. However, it looks like I'm trying to be used as a scapegoat, and I don't appreciate that. You have known me a very, very long time, and I've known Erin when she was born and grew up in Garfield. I'm a Garfield boy. I'm a Garfield resident. I used to be a Garfield resident. Now I'm an Elmwood Park resident. I've been involved in Garfield politics a long time. I was a former city attorney for the city of Garfield, okay? And I have a lot of respect for the individuals, yourself, and everyone that is my friend, and I consider a friend in Garfield. And I still consider a friend in Garfield, no matter what everyone may think that I maybe didn't do or should have done. However, there are certain aspects in ethics. Me, as a former retired judge, as well as being an attorney, it is my obligation to represent the council. It is with grave, grave sadness that I would have to recluse myself from making any advice or giving this council any advice when it deals with a council person who has hired me. It is, to me, both as an attorney and as a retired judge, gives me a feeling of an appearance of impropriety for me to even be involved in issuing any kind of decision or advice to this council. Now, you can appreciate that if you like to, and I hope you do, okay? Because it has never been my intent to do anything but to represent this council and the body of this body and anybody that I'm hired to represent to the best of my ability. There are times where legal counsels have to and should refrain in certain circumstances in issuing decisions or opinions because they could be interpreted and appear to be in conflict. That is why at the time, it was my decision and advising counsel, as well as the attorney for the labor attorney, who also made the same advice, gave the same advice, and we both, as two legal opinions, advised this council to retain separate counsel to look into the matter and give his opinion of what options this council may have. Now, I sat here and I read this whole press release, and I read these resolutions, and I don't know whether you realized it or not, but it was emotional to me to do so. I didn't want to do this. I was told today that counsel, the special counsel, was not going to be here, that I would be doing this. Now, let me tell you, do I like it? No, I don't. I really don't. And I speak from my heart, because I'm not here and I never would do anything to hurt anyone, especially people that I care for. Now, I can tell you right now, the opinion of this special counsel, which I don't even know from Adam, okay? I don't even know who he was and never met him until now, okay? And it was done on purpose, because the appearance and impropriety aspect is very important to everyone. And the integrity of appearance, of impropriety, is so important, especially in today's climate. So if anything, it's a clearance. It is clear that whatever this special counsel found, it was his opinion, not mine. Okay? So therefore, I hope that when you're addressing legal counsel, it wasn't me. It was a special counsel that did so and investigated and found whatever he found. I only read it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public care to speak?
Maggie Vandermecker, 41 Showbat Lane. This isn't the main reason, but I'm just a little confused because you guys keep speaking about outside special counsel that was approved. And your borough attorney just mentioned he's never heard or read anything until today or even used the person's name. Who was the outside counsel?
Edward Schmier,
And when was it approved?
January 9th,
By who?
the mayor and council at a special meeting.
Everybody voted unanimously?
That was in attendance, correct?
Who was absent? Yeah.
I was absent.
Sorry, Mayor, through you.
I was absent for the appointment.
Yes.
Ms. Councilman Fasolo was the only one absent.
So everybody currently on the dais voted to approve the special counsel?
Correct,
Including Councilman Golbeck?
correct.
So I'm just a little confused because your speech spoke about reckless spending and how you didn't want to take accountability for the $20,000, but you approved them?
Correct, because I put forward a letter stating my situation, and I essentially came to a conclusion. So we can go through what aspects of the situation took the attorney so long. So I guess there's a couple hours worth that I take responsibility for, as any situation would. But to get to a number of 20,000, I think 60% of that is from a different attorney that has nothing to do with what I voted on. But I get your point. But I put forward a set of facts to the council, and I encouraged that someone provide an opinion on it. But it was not very gray. I pretty much said what, I pretty much tied their hands as to what the conclusion would be. So where all the billing is, I don't have the answer for that.
And just for the audience clarification, it's not the borough attorney that approves outside council spending. It's the mayor and council that approve outside spending. Just that way, the audience is aware about how procedural expenditures for the borough work. What I came here for initially was Ms. Von Hagen brought up the census, and I'm not sure if we as a borough applied to Jermaine Ortiz's grant. The deadline was today, so I hope we didn't pass it. We kept getting emails about it. I know myself as a clerk, and the boroughs were sent letters to the mayor and council. She was appropriated over $310,000 from Trenton for Bergen County to use the money. So I know like our borough applied for it, and we're getting an extra couple grand to offset mailers. So maybe we could look to see if, because the deadline was extended to today, maybe you guys could still jump on that.
We did not apply, but I did forward the information twice.
Okay, so maybe you guys could look into that, because that's really easy money, and you could have gotten $3,500 right there to offset the $20,000 for special counsel. Just little things like that, they will allow. Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak? If not, I'll close the public portion, and I'd just like to say I'm a motion to close the public portion first. All in favor? I just like to say with the proceedings tonight, I think in the 17 years that I've been here as a councilman, this had to be one of the hardest attendance for me, what went on this evening. And I know for each and every one of the people up here, it's been very emotional. There are ties that are interwoven, and this was not just something that's good for the town, and it wasn't good for the people up here. And with that, I'd like to just close the evening.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's, meeting's adjourned at 9:45 PM.